Hello, my beautiful little Moglets. So today we are doing some tests with Lilias. Here she is in her current state. She's not quite 6-star yet. That'll take a little bit longer. So this isn't the official Lilias raised video. That'll be coming probably early next week. But for what we're testing today, level 50 is plenty. In fact, level 5 was plenty. But before I start investing Molagoras, there are some questions which I'm mostly sure about, but not totally sure about. But let's get some information out of the way. First of all, here are her stats. I realize a critical hit damage set would be more appropriate, but unfortunately the only critical damage set I have is not that good and would in fact only increase her critical damage by 10% once everything is said and done, and then her speed and crit chance drop down way too much to justify it. I still think her stats are okay. I mean, these are just tests, so you shouldn't pay too much attention to the numbers themselves, but rather the difference in numbers from what we're doing. And then, of course, to take along, I fed Martial Artist Kin with as much attack as I could. He has 5,800 right now, which would be nothing compared to a fully maxed Gunther, of course, because he has that passive, which can actually go up to 75% once you Molagora that. And of course, when 3 stars are free to Molagora, that would be easy to do. So yes, of course Gunther is going to be MVP for this sort of combo, but at least for now I'm not willing to raise him just for this. If these tests prove to be impressive, then I would definitely consider it. We'll also be taking Mercedes with Midnight Bloom and her imprint to get her up to 100% to make everything more consistent, as well as Vivian for an attack buff. So we're not going to go on the side story because she gets inflated stats there. We are just going to go like on hunt, I guess. I don't want any elemental advantage or disadvantage here, so we're just gonna be focusing on the minions. So firstly, we're gonna do her ult. All right, about 6,000 or so. I'll have to check it out in post to see the actual numbers. But yeah, again, a little bit less on the big dude back there. So now we're gonna try it with an attack buff. I'm gonna assume Kin's attack buff matters here and not Lilias's. But yeah, quite a bit more damage. So now we're going to try it with just Kin with the attack buff to make sure that her attack buff doesn't play any part in it as well. All right, here we go. Unfortunately, one of them did get defense broken, so it's gonna mess up the numbers. So we're gonna be mainly focusing on the little dudes up front, I guess for at least this comparison. And so it looks to be about the same. Of course, the other dude got 18k on him because of the defense break. But yeah, it seemed to be just Kin. It really just matters with Kin. As told me, Lilias takes 90% of the highest attacks power, so I would think it would be a little bit more damage with 5,800 attack and 270 crit damage, but maybe I'm wrong. Well, 5,800 attack I guess would be around more 5,400-ish, maybe a little lower, whatever, but still 5k plus with 270 crit damage. I would think it would be a little bit higher. So yeah, attack buff for Kin is the only thing that really matters. Looks like her stats, at least as far as attack goes, doesn't matter at all. Pretty much just crit rate and crit damage. Also, if you want her to go more often than speed. All right, for now we're gonna shift our attention over to her basic attack and see if when we give her Molagoras, if it will increase the damage of the ally. Since it is random, we're probably gonna have to do this a few times, get a couple numbers for both Mercedes and Kin. But I think for the most part it'll be pretty samey. So that was Mercedes with 5623, and now we have Kin with 6321. All right, so I'm only gonna give her one Molagora because we don't have very many, and also of course I want to Molagora the third skill as well. Even though I don't think that really needs testing, it's obviously going to just do more final damage. This one I'm not too sure about, even though dual attacks aren't anything new, obviously. It's just, I want to make sure. So I know definitely her initial attack's gonna go up. I think it was 3,100 something. I'll post some numbers on screen. Ultimately, yeah, that was 3,300. Oh my god, 80, was that over 8k? Let's try it again. But then Celestial Mercedes doesn't seem like... I think Ken might not be consistent. Does he get more damage as his health lowers? Oh no, that's just his counter attack. So his basic attack should still be consistent. I don't think there's anything going on there. Yeah, right. Since the numbers seem to always be the same anyway, I'm going to call that. From what I could tell, it's really just her damage that goes up and not the allies, but I'll make sure of that in post. So it looks like that's all we can do for now. 10% more damage on that. Again, I'm sure it's just going to be 10% more of the final damage, but let's test it just in case. Gonna make sure we have the exact same team just because, as we had when we were testing the S3 first. No attack buff yet. Let's just see what happens here. We're only gonna do this once, and then once with an attack buff or so, because yeah, 10% is not that much more. Probably for the really amazing cleave, you do need a decked out Gunther. I can imagine it would be pretty impressive then, but also her as just a tank, you know, if you're not trying to go crazy like with a Gunther team and building a whole team around her and such. I can imagine she'd still be solid as a knight, you know, because her ult regardless would hit hard, and it would cleanse your debuffs and decrease their combat readiness and increase her own combat readiness, shields, provoke, ally attack. She's just really solid hero all around. But yeah, let's try again with an attack buff this time. If there's a really strong fire hero, you could give a fire hero the greater attack buff with Hazel. There might be another way to give her a greater attack buff. Ooh, broke the 10k mark there with an attack buff. Not bad. Let's see what Mercedes does, even though I don't think she's built super well right now. But just as sort of a reference point here, I mean, 5,000. She's not built perfectly, but okayly, I guess. So 10k on those guys apparently is pretty damn good. All right, just for fun, let's go on our side story. Unfortunately, all these dudes are water. I did this when she was level 5 with no gear, and it already wasn't too bad, but let's try it again with an attack buff. See what this can do. Wipe him out. Because even with elemental disadvantage, I think she's still... Alright, that wasn't that good. Burned greater attack buffed Vivian's Tornado with elemental advantage. Well, I don't know, 10k doesn't seem that bad compared to some of my other heroes, but maybe all my heroes are just garbage. I mean, it's not super easy to get massive numbers with AoE, you know. With single target, yeah, you can see crazy numbers, 6-digit numbers with the right setup. With AoE, it's a lot harder though, because naturally the multipliers are going to be a lot lower. Let's check out a dual attack there. Pretty nice. Also, like, if you have a bunch of units in your team with, you know, like debuffs and such on their basics, that can be useful besides just damage, you know. Obviously, dual attacks are pretty nice. Oh. Oh wait, when she counterattacks, does she also... I have her with Elbrus right now, so she'll counterattack. I was thinking about giving her Portrait for the extra damage on her ult, because I think she triggered the dual attack by counterattacking. Does that work like that? How's her ult on some weaker enemies? Kaboom. Not bad. There we go. And no ally attack, it seems. Okay. That's kind of sad, I guess, but I thought I saw it at first. Apparently I did not. I mean, I understand not being able to counterattack a counterattack, else it could go on forever, but like, that is a part of her basic skill though, so I don't know, it's kind of weird. Maybe there's just an inherent rule about too many attacks at once, maybe? I don't know, or maybe it just bugged out, or I'm seeing things wrong, whatever. If you know how that works, then drop a comment. But if it's really true that a counterattack can't trigger the ally attack, then I don't know if Elbrus would be right for her. And her build in general really depends on what you're going to use her for. Like, if you want to try and use her as like a cleaver, then of course you want as much crit damage as possible as soon as you have the crit chance you need, and that's pretty much it. So I have her with the crit damage necklace, the health ring, and speed boots. You could give her health boots if you don't want her to be fast. I just prefer my characters to be fast, especially her, when she can, you know, trigger dual attacks and everything. I wouldn't really know what kind of team she'd be in like PvP, if she'd rather be like more of a tank that has her allies helping her with these things, because regardless, if you at least have one unit with decent, you know, a decent damage dealing unit, this will do a good chunk. May not like one shot or anything, but also of course health. She is a knight, and also her basic skill does scale off of her max health, so sure. And it does a decent chunk of damage. There's like 3100 on those little fired dudes. The main problem I see is that, so for like PvP cleave, you can't really just use auxiliary lots, because auxiliary lots' attack buff is going to go to waste because her attack doesn't matter. So you would either just need a general combat readiness pusher like Judith or Biken or one of those others, and then probably an attack buffer would be good for the unit she's taking the attack from. So in that case, since aux slots won't be that good in this case, I would say you probably do want her to have some speed. And for PvE, I would say speed is also just generally important, because PvE usually lasts more turns, and it's just going to increase your overall team damage when she can continually give allies dual attacks and do this. Pretty strong AoE, as long as you have at least one good damage dealer in there. And then this one, I don't know, this kind of seems separate. There's a chance to provoke, which isn't super useful in PvE, but then a self barrier, you know, I mean, provoke can be useful for the minions, I guess, but yeah. So all the tests performed today were it basically just as expected, but she is a unique character, so I just wanted to make sure. But if you have any other thoughts or whatever, drop them in the comments down below. Leaving a like if you do enjoy is always greatly appreciated as well. Thanks, as always, for watching, and until next time.